kids cardiac. Catch me in the Muni where the party at. Dog pound, turn up with the elf up on my starter cap. Brought him back, boy, we from the land and we proud of that. Louder man, front to the back, here we go, I got him shouting that. Here we go, brownies. Here we go. Here we go, brownies. Here we go, brownies. Stand up. Here we go, brownies. Let's go. Game on the line, Joe Thomas, I promise. Jim Brown running through opponents, how I got this. I return like Josh Cripps. Hand for the mini, got the dog pound jumping. Here we go, brownies. Here we go. Here we go, brownies. Here we go, brownies. Stand up. Here we go, brownies. Let's go.
Cleveland! This is for you!
Here we go, Brownies Nations. We are here with Larry Lorello at Huntington Field to talk about Here We Go Brownies wine and all the other amazing wines at Lorello Vineyards.
Yeah, I just want to tell all of you guys, it's harvest season right now. We just started with some of the whites, and reds will be coming in next. Stop out the winery, all the wineries out in Northeast Ohio, for to check out all the harvest and what we're doing out there. It's a really good time right now.
Here we go, Brownies. Here we go.
Here we go.
Woof, woof.
This summer, leave the crowded bars behind and take your night out to the water. Nothing hits like sunsets over the Cleveland skyline, drinks in your hand, music blasting, and the city lights reflecting off the lake. The Good Time 3 turns an ordinary night out into the kind of experience your entire group talks about. Step aboard Cleveland's ultimate summer night out. Tickets are limited, so visit us online and reserve your spot now aboard the Good Time 3.
I know that choosing a realtor is a big decision, especially in a market like Cleveland. Hi, I'm Crystal John Toney with eXp Realty, and I grew up right here. I know these neighborhoods, the values, and where the real opportunities are. Whether you're buying your first home, upgrading, or investing, I'm here to guide you every step of the way and make sure that you don't leave money on the table. Let's make your next move a smart one.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the Here We Go Brownies podcast. I'm Allie Ellery, coming at you live from Pensacola, Florida. And joining with me, as always, out in Cleveland, we've got Dustin. Dustin, this is going to be interesting. It is currently storming like bad. I'm looking out the window here, and I just saw a crack of lightning, and we'll see how this goes. If I lose power, bear with me, everybody. But how you doing? How's it going?
Good. But, Allie, I mean, it's not a hurricane. I mean, you've lived through a hurricane and almost hit a podcast, and South Carolina. So come on. This is easy. This is easy,
but it is my responsibility to tell you all if I lose power, I'll be back. Fun show for you tonight, guys. We're really excited. Here in just a couple of minutes, we're going to bring Joel Bitonio on, have a live conversation with him. Really looking forward to that. Of course, we are going to, kind of dissect the first preseason game against the Bears, and we're going to look ahead to the next preseason game. So we've got football to talk about, Dustin. We're so back. We are so back.
I got to tell you, it was exciting to watch them play the Bears, a real game, real live action. As you know, I've been at camp all season, so finally put the pads on and got to play with a live opponent. And as you know, they play the Bills tomorrow in a scrimmage, and then Saturday I'll be here with the game. Just so you know, Allie, all the Browns backers presidents are coming in this weekend. It starts tomorrow. You know how crazy we are. Thursday, Friday, Saturday will be at Browns training camp. I'll be attending the game on Saturday as well. So excited to see the guys be out there in front of the home crowd, and hopefully weather permitting, looks like it's only a 40% chance of rain. So at this point, should be decent weather as well here in Cleveland for down by the lake.
Yeah, we're so back. Football is back, baby. Really excited. Let's go and bring Joel Bitonio on. Really excited. This interview is brought to you by our good friends over at Stadium Mustard. Guys, if you don't have Stadium Mustard in your kitchen this season, you are doing it wrong. The iconic brand, the iconic taste, beloved from ballparks to backyards and everywhere in between. Stadium Mustard is a smooth brown mustard rich in both taste and tradition. By the way, it's loved by millions. Be sure to head on over to stadiummustard.com to shop now. Let's bring him on. Here he is, Joel Bitonio. Hi, Joel. How are you?
Good. How are you guys doing? Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Thanks for taking the time. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, Joel, I was going to say, you almost look like a natural at this. I watched you out there with Nathan and Bernie on a training camp. I think you're a natural with this. I think that, these are just going to be all these wonderful opportunities for you to get in front of the camera and talk. You're going to be a natural before it's all over.
Well, I appreciate that. It's easy. I got interviewed, twice a week for the last 12 years. So you kind of get a rapport with the people and you understand, what the questions are going to be asking and kind of what the fans want to hear as well. So I've been there. It's also easy to work with, Nathan and those guys. They do a really, really good job. But we're testing out the waters. We're just kind of seeing what we like. It's nice. I'm not worried about a joint practice. I get to join a podcast with you guys tonight.
So let's talk about that.
You're feeling good, right? You're not sore. You're not you're not in an ice bucket, right? Fair enough.
You're feeling good. Look good, feel good. So what's it like for you right now? You're not in training camp. You're watching it. How is it? Obviously it's a big transition. What's it like for you?
Yeah, I think once training camp started, that's when I truly was like, all right, I'm not doing this. The whole off season, it's kind of like, all right, we'll see where we go, what's happening. And then once training camp starts, like, oh, I'm actually retired. Like I don't have to, worry about the heat and checking the weather every day to see how humid it's going to be. Watching some of these young guys go out there and really play well, Mason Graham and Jared Verse, and be like, I have to block these guys, tomorrow in practice. So it's been different. I was at, one of the training camp practices, doing some content with the Browns. I'm going to be back tomorrow just to kind of check it out. And I have some friends on Buffalo as well. That'd be nice to catch up with. But it's been good. I've been spending a lot more time with my family, been on the golf course a little bit more. It's the first time in like 20 some years that I have not been doing football in August. So it's a change, but it's been a change for the better.
Well, as I say, the wife probably really appreciates it. Now you can be home with the kids. Now you get to do all the things that she, has been doing while you're out practicing or getting home late from exercises and film and coaching and all that stuff for sure.
I know I did like a little open house the other day for school. I'm like, I haven't done one of these in a while. My son got a kindergarten assessment this morning that I got to go to. So all these little things that I'm like, oh, this is how this works. She just did it seamlessly. And now I'm kind of learning what it takes to get the kids out the door in the morning.
Yeah, that's
I'll start with this question, then I'll let Allie go into this. Obviously, it's a very different offensive line than what you were accustomed to last year and the many years with the guys that were there going back to 2020 in Baker Mayfield. What is your, like we always say, Joe Thomas is a student of the game. He's been on our show several times. You're a student of the game. Tell us what you're seeing from the new guys and the free agents and the rookies out there, and what's your assessment of these guys so far at camp and going in, obviously, with one live game so far?
Yeah, I think with 5, new starters in the sense that they've never played together, it's going to take, a little bit of time to get that continuity. I watched the first preseason game. I watched the practice. I've seen the clips on the internet. So I'm kind of watching with some of the fans out there. But I saw some good stuff. I thought pass protection in the first game, especially with the first group, was pretty solid. Fano did a really good job at left tackle. They were putting him on an island. They're giving it a chance. There was 1 or 2 plays where it got a little sloppy, but overall he was getting to his spot. He was athletic. He was strong. All the traits you want to see in a left tackle. And I think you saw a couple plays. They didn't quite get the run game going the way they wanted, but there were some good double teams. There were some good movements. Honestly, Chicago threw like a double corner cat on the first run of the game. Like they were kind of showing some tricky looks. So I think giving us some time, it'll be interesting to see how they do tomorrow. But it takes time to build that rapport. And like, how do you run a double team? How do you, protect each other in the passing game? How do you pass off twist? And all those little details will be there. But I thought when guys were one-on-one, they played pretty well this week, which is a positive sign because the little things will come.
Yeah. I mean, this is totally revamped too. I mean, obviously this is brand new starting offensive line, nothing set in stone. Every rep matters, but curious, your thoughts on Spencer Fano. Obviously the Browns drafted him with a pretty high draft pick, but I mean, just, I didn't play football. What do I know? But just kind of first glance at him, I was really impressed and excited to see what he brings to the table. So just kind of you're curious about your thoughts on how he did.
Yeah. Like I said, I think his first game, like, you can see the movement skills, right? Like when we draft a guy in the top 10 that plays left tackle, you're like, all right, does he move like a top 10 left tackle? And he does that. Is he strong like a top 10 tackle? He does that. He has a great coach in Coach Warhop that's going to get him, ready to play and put him in the right position. And it's going to be fine-tuned in the little things. And every week he's going to go against an absolute freak at defensive end, including in practice. So there's going to be those moments where, you ride a roller coaster. But in the first game and his first start, like I said, I watched it, and in pass protection, there was one or two where, a guy might have got it late pressure or there's a miscommunication on a stunt. But those are all things you improve and you work on. But I think you see the traits there. And from everything I've heard, and I've met him a couple times, his character is unbelievable. Like, he loves ball. He brings great energy. He's the type of guy you want to build your O line around. And so those things to me are things you can't coach, and those are there. So I think everything else is going to develop, and he's going to get more tests as the season goes on.
Yeah. So my next question will be, one of the viewers into the show asked, and I'll double down on that. What was the hardest person you had a nightmare to block in the National Football League over the multiple years? And, I went to Boise State, so I got to watch you at UNR, right? When you'd come to the Blue, or you'd go down with the Wolfpack. Who was the most difficult person in college and the pros that gave you fits and nightmares?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably every guard's answer from the last 15 years, but Aaron Donald was one of one. He was difficult to block. Just a freak. I think it's hard to explain how he was so good, because he's just so powerful, such good leverage. His hand strength was unbelievable, the way he could turn your shoulders and stuff. And he was, a student of the game, played hard, never took a down off, all those things that make him great. And then just someone that I played all the time, Cam Hayward, we battle all the time. And so I think just out of the 20 sometimes you play a guy, there's just this mutual respect of hey, this guy's a heck of a player, and we're going to battle every time we go out there. Going back to college, honestly, DeMarcus Lawrence, my senior year, we battled it out. We got drafted, I think, a pick apart. So we were, in college battling against each other. And he was probably my toughest. I played against Anthony Barr that year as well, who was really good. My sophomore year, my first start ever was at Oregon versus Deion Jordan, who was a top 10 pick. And I did all right against him as well. So those were kind of the moments where I was like, all right, these guys are getting drafted high. I can play with them a little bit. And it allowed me to kind of just show that I can do it as well.
Yeah, I had totally forgotten that DeMarcus Lawrence and you guys were back to that. Was right. I mean, because he was a high pick and you were a high pick. Of course, I would have selfishly liked to have a Boise State guy on the team as well. But no, he was, and he does amazing where he's been and played for sure. So
I have a name for you too, Billy Wynn, who was a Boise State guy.
He's been on the show. He's actually done. He has been on the
program.
Show.
Yeah. He was a guy that I played in early in my college career. He was a little bit older than me. And he was a great college player. And then I came to Cleveland and he was on the Browns. And so I got to actually, play against him there as well. So he was another one from college that was a really, really great college football player.
This is completely off topic, and I hate to change the conversation here, but Joel, I've actually been hoping we would get you as a guest on this podcast. I've had this question for you for years, because I am so curious about what it was like for you when you had to kind of emergency step in at left tackle, go from left guard to left tackle. And of course that does play some relevancy into now, right? Spencer Fano, who we think is going to be the starting left tackle, he's switching positions from what he played in college. So curious about what that process was like, what you had to do to really get prepared mentally, physically, and how difficult was it?
Yeah, though, talk about nightmares. Those were nightmare moments for me. I just established myself as a guard, and you kind of go out there and it's hey, you're our option at tackle this week. And the times I had to play it, we didn't really get a week of practice or anything like that. Most of the time it was a COVID. We had a bunch of, COVID guys out. So I was doing walkthroughs, trying to go full speed to get my left tackle reps in. But it was a journey, and you're definitely on an island, right? They talk about being on the island. When you're at guard, it's cozy. You got a center, you got a left tackle, someone's always by you. You might pull out and block a guy every once in a while, but most of the time you're there. But when they call, as a left tackle, 3-jet, and everybody's sliding away from you and you're one-on-one, the world, sees that. And so for me, it was just understanding my landmarks and my points. I will tell you, it was less physical at tackle for the most part. In the run game especially, you're not pulling 8 or 10 times a game where you're running full speed into a guy. There's a few plays where you're step hinging on the backside, where not a play off, but you're sealing the backside. It's not as physical as being the guy that's pulling up in there. So I think I held my own out there, but I was happy to go back into guard. I was very comfortable. I played it in college, so I was used to it. But when you take 3 or 4 years off, And you go back out there, you just feel like I'm a step slow.
So, yeah, we've had Joe Thomas on, right? The Iron Man. Speaking of left tackle, good transition. You yourself had I looked at this and I didn't even believe this. From 2017 to 2023, you had over 6,400 consecutive snaps yourself. Speaking of Iron Man at guard, what do you attest to that training preparation, just like Joe, to be able to go out there through COVID, right? I mean, speaking of COVID, to go through that and actually put together that kind of performance at your own position at that time.
Yeah, for me, early in my career, I was a little bit, quote unquote, injury prone. I played my whole first season without missing a snap. Then my second season, I got rolled up on a couple times, had some ankle sprains. Third season, I had a Liz Frank. So I was kind of like this, oh, can he make it through a season again? And, I had signed an extension with the team. And when I did that, a guy named JC Treader came on the team as well. Mm-hmm. And we kind of went on this, not on purpose, but this snap streak together. The first year, neither one of us missed a snap. And then the second year, neither one of us missed a snap. And then we kind of had this thing we're in this together. We got to find a way to do this. And it's not easy. I know Joe's talked about some of the injuries he's played through. And it's truly a mindset. There's certain things you blow out your knee, you can't play, right? But if you have a grade 1 or grade 2 sprain on the MCL, it's we can brace that up and get out there. I usually went in the doctor's office on Monday and I was like, hey, how much worse can I make this if I go out and play? And there's always risk. And I'm like, is it a pain tolerance thing or is it make my body worse thing? And if they told me it was a pain tolerance thing, I was going to try and play and show them that I could do it. And so it was one of those things where once we got rolling, I was like, this is something I'm prideful about. And I saw Joe Thomas do it. Alex Mack had done it early in his career. Mitchell Schwartz, all these guys that I came in. So it was just an expectation that if you're an NFL offensive lineman, you play through that stuff. And I know it's not how it is, with everybody or everything. But for me, it was kind of I want to prove that I'm going to be out there. They paid me well. If I can play me at 75% is, better than the next guy at 100%. If that's right or wrong, I don't know. But that was kind of my mindset going into it.
I mean, especially going through those injuries, especially early in your career, those were kind of the lean years for the Cleveland Browns, 0-16, 1-15, some tough times. So to go through that physically, but also mentally, I mean, that takes some serious fortitude as well. Can you just kind of speak to what that took from you, to kind of go out there, especially when you knew the season was done? You're not really competing for anything postseason. And of course you want to go out there and compete, but your body's doing one thing, your brain's doing another thing. Can you kind of talk about that?
Yeah, it was such a mindset for us. We talked about that every snap and every film is your resume, right? Every game, when they look at your resume the next year, they're not going to be like, oh, it was week 16, the season was over. They're going to be like, oh, he played great or he played bad, and that's your resume going forward. And it's all you can have. And sometimes it was like, hey, we're out of this, but this is for pride. And this is for the, 10 guys around you on the field. And football's such a physical sport. You have to have that mentality when you go out there and play. And especially along the O-line, we kind of had this brotherhood of, hey, we're going to protect each other. We're going to go out there, protect the quarterback, run the ball. Talk about lean years, though. I didn't realize how much, I missed winning till we, that Jets game when we opened up the fridges and we won that game. And I hadn't been on the field for, I want to say it was close to 3 years of where I didn't suit up for a win, being injured, or we went 0-16, 1-15. And once we felt that win, I was like, oh my gosh, this is why you play the game. You lose this mentality. And then we had some, good years in the sense where we won 7, 8, 9, 10 games. We weren't going, 0-16. And so it was more of a mindset and truly just having the pride in your craft. We're paid a lot of money to play, this kid's game. And so to have that mentality of hey, this is what we do. And this is our resume. Let's go out and be our best.
Yeah, speaking of that, Joe Thomas, in today's world and free agency and all that, spent his entire career with the Cleveland Browns. You're another rare asset that you spent your entire career with the Cleveland Browns. You probably got other offers and stuff like that, but you know how crazy the fans are, how much they love you, how much of a crazy fan base we are and loyal. If we're 0-16 or 16-0, they're going to show up. What made you stay with the Browns, and what made you feel the conviction to stay with them? And then I'll second that with, I know you were kind of on the edge of retiring, not retiring. What kind of made you kind of say, finally, it's time to hang it up and get behind the booth and watch these guys play from afar? So just curious.
Yeah, for me, it truly was a dream to make the NFL, right? Like I was just excited to make the NFL. You play through a contract, and the Browns were like, "Hey, you're a young player. We kind of want to keep you around." And so for that, I was like, "All right, I appreciate that," and I always appreciated them for drafting me and for giving me that first contract. And then we started winning, right? We had Baker
Yeah,
there. We
good
we we
point.
go to the playoffs in 2020, and I'm like, when I signed my extension in 2021, we had just gone to the playoffs. So I was like, this is where I want to be. Like we've worked so hard to get to this point, and that kind of excited me. And then in those last 3, 4, 5 years of my career, I had been in Cleveland. I had seen it with the fans. I had seen the dedication, all these things that you're a part of. I saw Joe Thomas, finish his career, and I've seen other guys go try and chase rings. And for me, it never really was a question. I wanted to finish in Cleveland. This was truly the first quote unquote off season where I had a chance to potentially be a free agent. And, my agent obviously, sent me not offers, but like teams are interested. Do you still want to play? And I just could never picture myself at this point, in another uniform. So that was kind of that part of it. And then retirement, I finished out my contract. I did 12 years, and for me, like I said, I had no expectations when I got in the league. I wanted to be the best version of myself,
Yeah.
and so, I did everything I could accomplish on the field except win a Super Bowl, and that was kind of my last goal. And I was weighing the pros and cons of like, can I chase this? How is my body doing? All those things, and at the end of the day, I was like, I think my body, my family, I'm at a point now where this is a good stopping point, and I kind of got to choose that my time was to be finished.
Fair.
That's awesome. And just to kind of show you, everybody here in the comments from every true Browns fan, thank you. Everybody here is just holds you in such high regard. And, we certainly appreciate you so much. And that sentiment as well, that you couldn't picture yourself in another uniform. And I'll tell you, as fans, neither could we. That'd be weird. That'd look weird to us. So we really appreciate it. And Dustin, I'll kind of kick this over to you to wrap up, get you out of here, Joel. But speaking of the Browns, we've got a little, sorry, this is going to cover you up, but a taste of the Browns situation going on. Dustin, I'll kick it over to you.
Yeah. So Joel, of course, this is your second year. Last year, you were a obvious actual player joining. Now you're joining in the alumni role. So you're just flipping, and you're going to have Carson Swessinger with you, that's going to be kind of cool because you actually got to play with him for obviously a year. And now, first and foremost, why are you passionate about the Cleveland Food Bank and why that's important to feed the folks of greater Northeast Ohio? And what are you most excited about coming back and being a part of it, you and the family this year?
Yeah, it's since I got in the league, like the first year, Joe Thomas was actually hosting it, and he invited me and my wife, girlfriend at the time, I guess, to go and go to this event. And we went to the event. We enjoyed it. It's a great event, raises money for the Greater Cleveland Food Bank. And then in November, we went and helped with their Thanksgiving drive. And now, since then, we've been involved with both events pretty much every year, unless I was really banged up. I think I had surgery on one of the years I was supposed to be there. But besides that, I've been involved in it, and me and my wife talk about it. People need food, and they need resources. In this place, it's the bare minimum, right? To be a person in this world. And so the food bank has done so much good, and they every dollar, goes such a long way to getting people meals. And I've been there and I've seen the work they've put in at the facility, and it's such a good cause that it's easy for me to show up and kind of be a part of it. But I'm excited that we have a young guy like Carson who wants to step in and also be involved, because he could be a 10-year Brown, and for him to take that reign and kind of be in charge of it for the next little run would be great. Because I think Joe kind of passed it on to myself, and if Carson can be a part of it now, like you have a little group of guys that want to help and want to give back, because truly playing in Cleveland is awesome, but you learn about so many of these great organizations that just help the people of Cleveland and the fans that cheer you on. And so for us to be a part of it, it's really a no-brainer.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think the stat is 3 in 10 people go hungry in Cleveland per day, which is just blows my mind. I know Larry was excited to have you and the wife take a tour of the bus last year and go on and check it. So we have another bottle of wine for you this year to take home, the Here We Go Brownies wine with you. But we're excited to have you back again. Obviously, there's here and doing all the wonderful things. And he wanted me to tell you, he wants you to invite you and the wife out to the winery out in Geneva
Okay.
to good to go check it out sometime. He said that'd be fun to have you and the family out there sometime. So
Yeah, that'd be awesome. No, I remember the bus and I remember the wine. We still got it, in my wine cabinet out here. So it's on display. I don't actually have that much brown stuff in my house, but it's one of the bottles that's on display. So it means a lot.
We're honored. By the way, and by the way, $3 of every one of those bottles actually goes back to the food bank, which is also a nice little tie-in. But yeah, guys, go to the website, get your tickets for that. It's actually the Monday after the Browns come back from Jacksonville. That'll be here in Cleveland after you guys come back, which also told me they're not staying in Florida if the players are coming back, obviously, on that Monday. So
Yes. Yeah. Usually it's night right after the game. We're on a plane headed home. They try and get us out of there pretty quick. But the Taste of the Browns is an awesome event. Like every restaurant in town brings something for people to try. There's a good time there. You see a lot of the players and alumni. It's really a top-notch event.
I mean, listen, you got good food, a good cause, and the Browns, it doesn't get much better than that. That's awesome. Joel, this was great. Thank you so much for joining us. We really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Happy to be on. I got way more time now, so I can find little podcasts like this and try and help you guys out when I get a chance.
Hey, I love it. Hey, and by the way, I'm not good at golf. Allie is better at me in golf, but now your golf game is going to get even better now that you have more time to play. So
I'm working on it. It's hit or miss, right? I thought it would be unbelievable. I get to play more. It doesn't happen like that. Sometimes you got to take a little time off. So we'll see how it goes.
Nice. Appreciate it.
Best of luck to you. Yeah, we appreciate it. Thanks, Joel. Go Browns.
Thanks,
Go Browns.
All right, that is Joel Bitonio. Man, that was a lot of fun, Dustin. He's awesome.
Yeah, like I said, the Taste of the Browns. You just always humbled when you go to that and you attend it and you see how much is raised. It's millions of dollars. It gets given to the greater Cleveland. And by the way, that's 5 counties, by the way, Allie. I don't know if you knew that, but it's not just Cuyahoga. It's Lake County, a bunch of different counties. So as I say, I almost feel like we should have had David on that segment so we could talk about injuries and go into his injury, his injury history.
That's what's up next. What are you drinking?
Well, this is in a nice little Browns.
Yeah.
It's energy drink. It's just an energy.
Okay. That's radiating. That's neon.
Yeah, it's it's like a lemon lime, whatever. Yeah, it's an energy drink because
what is that? A sour beer or something?
No, not sour beer. Yeah, are you a sour beer person? You like sour beer?
I mean, you're
Miller Lite.
Once in a while, Miller Lite, I'm good. But I mean, if it's there, I'll have it. But I'm probably not going to seek it out.
Do you ever dive into the craft beers more? I mean, do you ever go down that path, or are you more of a light beer and kind of stay in that lane?
No, I like to try everything. Okay. I don't love an IPA. Certainly, I can do it. But yeah, I'll try whatever. But yeah, I mean, I'm a Miller Lite girl. Always have been, always will be, no matter what. But yeah, I'll try anything. But you're right. Yeah, we should have brought David on. Let's do that now so we can talk about, of course, Browns-related injuries, reflect back on the Bears preseason game, and look ahead to the next. So first off, awesome. Really excited that we got to talk to Joel. Let's bring David on. And this is brought to you by our good friends over at Primetime. Dustin, take it away.
Yeah, guys, if you're looking to, speaking of Spencer Fano, they have got a lot of signings. They got Spencer going to be down there. They got a lot of different players. Jared Verse. Look at their website, Primetime 12. They always have somebody on every day now. They were at the National, so go to primetime12.com. But they're going to have a bunch of Browns players basically that Saturday before they kick off the season. And all the players going to lockdown and can't do anything really except on Tuesdays. So they're trying to get some of those players on there so people can enjoy them before the season starts.
All right, there you go. Let's bring Dr. David Ellery onto the program. We got the Guards game on behind you?
The Guards game is on behind me.
Please tell me they scored more than 1 run tonight. I haven't looked.
They've scored 0 now. It's I think 1-0 currently.
Here we go again.
That's okay. It's early. It's only
here we go again. I'm just gonna have a little fit right now. Here we go again. Put up 7 runs, and the next game they put 0-1 up, and then they'll put 0-1 up, and then another 7. It's like Don't get me started.
Got my Browns corner right here though. Look at all that.
Browns corner. Hey, spin it around. Dustin, we got our Joe Thomas jersey framed. So it's down there. That's awesome. We're very.
What's 24? Is that Chubb?
24 where? No, that was our wedding guest book. Do you remember?
Oh, yes, that was 24 because that's the year you got.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
I do remember the jersey and everybody signed it. That's
Yeah. All right, David, come on back. Yeah. We're looking at the wall. All right, kicking it over to you for injury updates. What you got?
So I have good news, I have bad news, and I have news. So we'll kind of just do a rundown. There's some things that I think are just news that we just have to observe and not really worry about. There's other things that are a little bit more of a bummer, and there's other thing that's good. So I'm going to start off with the bad first. And I mean, bad just in the sense that it's a roster spot that's kind of had to be replaced. Brendan Bates. So he sustained an injury undisclosed during the game on Saturday, and he was waived on Monday with an injury designation. He cleared waivers, and he was returned to the IR. So while he doesn't have currently a 53-man roster spot, he's on the IR, so there's still potential for him to have a injury settlement and still come back with the team to fill a roster spot. There isn't much information on what it was. He did have a hamstring injury with Denver last year, and that ended his entire season. So unfortunately, at least last year was prone to something. So hopefully this isn't anything that significant, but it was enough that they waived him and dropped him off the roster currently. So something to keep an eye on, but that's kind of the biggest red stop sign injury that we had. And then looking at another one, it's kind of more yellow, but still a little concerning, is Michael Burton. So significant because he's been kind of an experimental factor in this offense and something that we like seeing being moved around, whether it's, in the backfield, he's on the ball, like an on-ball tight end, blocking, receiving, and just kind of getting into that more creative role for Todd Monken in a fullback kind of hybrid back position. But he's been kind of on and off injured throughout camp with an undisclosed injury, and he did miss the game Saturday, and he remained out of practice on Monday and I think Tuesday as well. So something that we just have to observe, keep looking at, and just is significant because he could play kind of an interesting creative role for the offense, and he's a veteran. He's a veteran presence in the locker room, and so hopefully nothing serious there. But he hasn't had a great camp from that standpoint. Other things kind of coming out of Saturday at least. Michael Coates Jr. left the game in the second half with an ankle injury. However, he was back practicing and looks like he's back to normal. Excuse me. So I know it was a little scary at first, but sorry about that. I think he's going to be okay. And then to kind of speak towards the depth in that room, though, Nate Evans had a quad injury, and that's one where he's still been held out and not practicing. Monken said that he thinks he'll be fine, quote unquote. So hopefully not a big deal there, but just something to monitor because we know cornerback depth is an issue. And he was getting he didn't practice Monday, Tuesday, maybe not today either. So other ones that are kind of looking at Quinshawn, that's an interesting one because we know that Tuesday's practice, as we've heard, was a pretty rough one. He practice got ended early. Quinshawn got hit hard twice, in fact. There was let me see if I can pull that up. He got hit, knocked down. Let's see. Big shot on Tuesday from Jared Verse, and he also got knocked down by Aiden Huntington. Jared Verse actually knocked his guardian cap off. So Monken was pretty furious with this, and he ended practice early. I think Shador got hit as well, and so it was a little bit more of an intense practice than he was hoping for. And Quinshawn was held out of practice today, but no announcement of a diagnosis, no formal injury report. So probably more precautionary than anything else. So I'm not raising any alarms, just kind of reporting the news and hoping that it'll be just to kind of take a day off sort of thing. And then Isaiah McGuire. So he got a trainer attention yesterday and was out today. Something else to keep an eye on because, we know, the defensive end room, a little bit rough too. And we had Alex Wright, who wasn't practicing yesterday, but he was back today. So Isaiah McGuire out today, Alex Wright back. And as you saw in the comments there, Mike Hall Jr. returned to practice. He hasn't practiced since August 1st. I mean, that is almost 3 full weeks since Quinshawn rang his bell and he hasn't been practicing. So hopefully good for that interior defensive line and that he'll be ready to go for week 1. Expect kind of a ramp up period for him. I'm not sure if he's going to be full go right away.
Can I ask you a question about Michael Hall? Because they really didn't say why he was out again, right? I feel like Mike Hall is the mystery of mystery. When he goes out, they really don't give us a lot of designation. Do you think he could have got a concussion? I mean, you did bring up a good point, rang his bell. Could they have just been holding him out for precautionary reasons with a lingering concussion? I mean, that could be, right, technically?
Yeah, totally. I mean, that very well could have been what happened in that practice back on August 1st. Hard to say. They're not going to disclose it. We're not going to know. But for something that really wasn't designated and he just kind of seemed to be lingering, sitting out without sort of any tape or braces or anything like that, yeah, I mean, concussion is totally on the possibilities there.
And the only reason I say that, I saw him at training camp and he's walking around, right? And he seems like there's no, and I'm like, well, what's up? And so I was like, well, concussion, obviously they're going to let you walk around and be with the team, but they're not going to let you make any contacts on your head for sure. So,
Yep. And then rounding it up, let's see, KT Leviston received trainer attention on Tuesday with no meaningful diagnosis. So probably like Quinchon, we're just watching him. And Carson Ryan did return to practice today. So that list that we were going over the past couple of weeks is kind of fluctuating in and out, but it seems to be kind of dwindling down. Guys are getting back, and it's really just guys taking their breaks when they need them, like Quinchon today, and hopefully back in practice tomorrow. So just kind of, recap, the big one really was Brendan Bates, who got waived, injured, and back on the IR, and then Mike Hall Jr. back to practice. So, nothing. Brendan Bates, there's nothing season-ending. We already know that last week, who was it? It was Damari Mathis. He was placed on the IR, so we're not going to see him for the first 4 games. We got through the first week mostly unscathed, and we'll see what happens this week against Buffalo in practice and in the game.
Okay,
I'm going to ask a quick question, and then I'll let Allie ask. They've kind of bubble wrapped Carson Schlesinger and really haven't said what's going on. Is that a concern to you, David? Since they've kind of not really done, he's been out since early August now, 3 weeks almost. I was just curious what your theory, because they aren't saying a lot about it. And what's weird is the press isn't asking a lot about it, I don't think either, which is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I don't know. I'm not too worried about it. You look at the depth chart and just kind of the listings. He doesn't have an injury designation. He had a minor ankle thing at the end of July, at the end of training or in camp there. And
that's why I was wondering if maybe it's a lingering high ankle sprain or something. I don't know.
It could be. I mean, we know he dealt with that last year. And if it is, maybe just being abundantly cautious with this, because we know that that's much more, it's a soft tissue injury that can just kind of really be a nuisance throughout the season. And so they maybe want to remove all doubts or all risks of injuring it further and just saying, hey, rehab this. We know what we got in you. You are the leader of this defense right now, in the middle of the defense at least, and we know what you got. You're going to be fine. So I'd imagine it's that. I don't think we need to raise any alarms. He's not on the IR. He's not on the PUP list. It's just a matter of, letting him get the reps where he needs them in practice, but not overexert it and risk re-injury.
Yeah. Okay.
Nathan Zagura calls it the bubble wrap. Just put him in bubble wrap and get him ready for.
Yeah. So I don't have any injury questions. I just want to, before we move on, see if there's anything else that we missed. David, Dustin, anything additional on the injury front?
Not that I can think of.
Okay.
Let's get into the game.
Let's get into the game. So let's unpack this. And I think if we did a post-game show, I think we probably would have had different takes then than we do now. We've had a couple of days to digest some things, really understand maybe why things were done a certain way, so on and so forth. So really, before we get into it, and we'll get into every position group, so don't feel the need to answer this specifically to any particular player or position group, but just want to get your overall kind of vibe check on the past preseason game against the Bears, what you thought, some key takeaways, and of course we'll do we'll really get into it here in a moment. But David, I'll start with you. Overall thoughts.
Yeah. Overall thoughts, I feel like there's a lot of unanswered questions still, especially surrounding quarterback. We'll get into more details of it, but that's kind of the first thing, and I'm sure that's the hot topic everywhere. It's just we don't really know, still have a clear direction. I think we're getting more hints and clues, but I mean that was certainly seriously, Jason. That was a big kind of overarching theme, and then just kind of scary in terms of depth on defense. I think there's some holes that are going to be maybe a bit of a concern as we get into the season, and curious to see if there's going to be, as we get closer to the 53-man cut down, what kind of additions they're going to make with back end veteran moves just to bolster some of these positions where there's some pretty gaping holes.
Yeah. All right, Dustin.
Yeah. So for me, a couple things. I had concerns with the offensive line with the run game.
Sure.
That was kind of an eye-opening. Pass protection was there. I'd like to see that. That was something that I noticed. Not so much, the penalties weren't crazy. That was another thing that looked pretty, there was a couple of them in there. I was pleasantly surprised for somebody that hasn't played football in 2 years, was able to play competent football and move the ball down the field. And Deshaun Watson, I was surprised that he would look that good in a live game. Now, I'll caveat that with an asterisk. He was also going up against the second team defense for the Chicago Bears, so it wasn't the ones versus the ones. And then Shador came in and moved the ball vertically down the field, which, obviously Deshaun was doing 10-yard dink and dunks. So it was kind of an incomplete, to David's point. We don't really have the sum of all things yet.
Yeah.
And then the interception, did the ball slip out of his hand, into triple coverage? What was going on there? He did say it slipped. It was raining. And if the ball does slip and it floats, that is a real thing. That can happen in football. I mean, I've been around that in a live game. So, yeah, it's a lot. But here's what really annoyed me from the fan base. Everybody's like, oh, my God, we got blown out. Okay, guess what? Preseason, Todd Monken isn't going to show all of his cards, not even a couple of his cards, for one, if he's a smart coach. And B, the last time the Browns went 4-0, they went 0-16. Okay, so I don't put anything into preseason games at all, by the way, at all, because they don't really mean anything, and you're really just trying to see if your guys can execute what you're trying to put. And that's why Todd said that in the post-game conference. Mm-hmm. He goes, no, we're going to be able to pass and run the ball. Like he was positive. He goes, you're not going to see that in the box score. We had turnovers. We don't like those. We'll take those back. But I saw positive gains already in a very small sample size, I guess. Yeah. So I don't take anything from the score because
no, you can't. You can't. I mean, at the end of the day, what's preseason game? It's practice. It's practice for both teams. Right. Really, what matters is individual reps and being able to dissect. Okay, who is on the starting offensive line? Who are the ones there? What does that look like? Offensively, of course, they're going to keep it fairly bland. But what philosophy are we running out? Are we going to run heavy formation? What does this look like? Of course, you want to see what you have in both quarterbacks, the rookies. So, I mean, there's like different things here and there that you're looking at. It's not an overall product. Fun to watch, yes, but you're not really taking anything away from the score. So for me, a couple of takeaways, and I want to talk about your run game point, Dustin. I mean, Todd Monken came out and said, like, look, we're going to be able to run the ball. I really just wanted to be able to see if we were going to pass the ball. And what that tells me is internally, there's still the quarterback conversation. I think both of these guys are still in the mix. I can say one thing with certainty, and that's that Dylan Gabriel really struggled. I think really kind of on the outside looking in, if we're going to carry three, I would imagine it's Deshaun, Shador, Taylor Green would be my initial kind of guess at what that could look like. But all right, let's just get into quarterback play. Obviously, that's kind of the big topic here. So let's start with Deshaun. 11 of 15 for 126. Had that lost fumble. I mean, certainly out of the two on the day, he looked like the better quarterback. But I think one thing to note is statistically, while that looks fairly decent, I don't think that plays paints the full picture of what really happened. And I think you can't really rely on the stats there. What I liked was playing with rhythm. He was getting the ball out quickly. He was decisive. But I still think all of his old habits are there, right? A lot of those throws were to the ground, bad decisions. He played nervous. He had happy feet, quick to bail, missing wide open guys, missing the easy things. That's who Deshaun has been. We know what his ceiling is. We know who he is, and he is consistently that. So his performance really didn't come as a surprise, even though it was the better of the two. Shador, 6 of 11 for 79 in that pick. I think similarly, we know what we saw out of Shador was a lot of what we right. He's going to be eager to push the ball down the field. He's looking for a big play. My issue really with Shador was the tempo in which he plays with. He is not quick. Actually, to the point where it's like, is he kind of doing this on purpose? Like, let's get out of the let's operate with this urgency.
That has been his Achilles heel. He's hanging on the ball too long. And I think, back to your, getting in and out of the huddle and the rhythm and getting rid of the ball quickly. I think, and that goes back to college. I mean, we can go back and look to what he did at college. That was one of the things is he holds on to the ball too long. I mean, if he can fix that mechanics of getting rid of that ball quicker. Now, I know he's also waiting for things to open up and develop, but with a better offensive line this year, I hope he would get more confidence. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that guy is going to be there. Let's get rid of the ball,
Well, that's the fundamental kind of Shador issue, right? That's been the knock on him is his speed at which he plays, and it's a very slow processing time. I think he made the right decisions on a lot of those throws. He was going to the right place with them. It was just he did not execute, and simply cannot have that. Whether you're Shedeur, you're Deshaun, whoever you are, you have to be able to effectively and efficiently run this offense. So I'm really eager to look, at this next preseason game. Does that get cleaned up? What does this look like? Is he able to operate out of the huddle quicker, more effectively? So overall, I think the question really is like, did we learn anything new about either quarterback? No, I don't think we did. I think we're still kind of in a similar position as to where we were a few weeks ago. They basically showed us last weekend kind of who we thought they were, right? Do you guys kind of agree?
Totally agree. Yeah.
And here's where I take I think this quarterback is like 1A, 1B. Like they're to the point that Deshaun hasn't been able to pull away and Shedeur hasn't been able to close the gap.
Mm-hmm.
They're 1A, 1B. Like I feel like if Deshaun is named the week 1 starter and he starts not doing well, Shedeur's in pretty quick. I don't think the coach is going to mess around because there's not much of there isn't somebody just, and that's why the coach wanted to name one going into training camp. But Shedeur, came in and closed that gap pretty quickly. And it's been kind of like hit and miss between these guys. One has a good day, one has a bad day.
They're fairly neck and neck, right? I would agree, and that's why it's gone on this long. And I think the storyline there is, hey, Deshaun Watson, if you can't beat Shedeur Sanders, who is a 5th round, quarterback, well, what's the deal with you? And same with Shedeur Sanders, if you can't beat out Deshaun Watson, who has played so poorly, what's the deal with you? So, I mean, the stories write themselves, right? And that's what the preseason is for. These reps are so valuable to really get a better understanding of who is going to be the starter, what this offense is going to look like with said starter. But I am looking forward to seeing Shedeur with the ones this next game with a really good opportunity to go out and figure this out, right? Like figure out who it's going to be, because I am sick and utterly tired of talking about it. I envy every other team that has just like a solid quarterback situation. They don't have to talk about it.
I want to bring this up real quick. So they've talked about this on national shows. The Browns have a really good team and have had really 2 great draft picks. And the question was put out there, are the Browns just a quarterback away from being a playoff team every year? And I said, yeah, I can buy into that, because like if you took Baker Mayfield out of Tampa and put him into this team this year, they would be saying the Browns are a playoff team.
Yes.
I mean, like literally, and that's why I'm like, man, if Deshaun Watson could figure it out, we would be a playoff team this year as well, just because he's, because he has that pedigree. If he could ever get back to, I call it lightning in the bottle, like Joe Flacco, right? So
this team has had a quarterback problem since the return. They have had good enough teams to get there, good enough teams to maybe not make a run at the Super Bowl, but to make a playoff appearance at minimum. They have a quarterback problem. So yes, to answer that, yes, absolutely. Go, and that's kind of been our point. If the quarterback's not on this roster, quarterback of the future is not on this roster, if they go draft one with the first, with their first pick in next year's draft, they come into a pretty good situation. Kind of comparing it to like Bo Nix last year, Drake May, kind of a thing, or Jaden Daniels. He's obviously in the news currently for another reason, but like, just kind of plugging him into a pre-made, ready to go offense. So I don't want to spend too much more time on quarterbacks. We've got a lot more to talk about, but
yeah, I was just going to add one thing to that.
Mm-hmm.
The coach did say, and I'm excited to see this because he just hasn't gotten the opportunity. Like Shedeur didn't get the opportunity last year, but Coach Monken did say that Taylor Green's going to play in the 3rd and final preseason game. So I am excited to see him in live play, which I think he has all the physical attributes. If he could just hone in on the arm strength, that would be a big deal.
All right, real quick, guys, if you are wondering what you should have for lunch or dinner, the answer for you is City Barbecue. They've got award-winning sauces, sides, meats. They do it right. You can also cater your events. If you got something coming up, work event, birthday party, baby shower, whatever you got, City Barbecue is the answer for you. Well, that rhymed. Who am I? I'm a poet. All right. Didn't know it. So I want to kind of ask this question, quarterbacks aside, right? Like, we had the quarterback conversation. Let's put them over here. I want to talk about areas of concern, and I'll start. my biggest area of concern after watching that game and looking ahead is secondary depth. I am so anxious about the depth for this defensive backfield. Thin. Of course, Mike Coates, he goes down that, and he was having a pretty good game. That's where I hold a lot of concern. That makes me really, really anxious, not only just from an injury standpoint, but also from a talent standpoint. There's a pretty big drop off. So if any of these guys have to come in, especially outside corner, makes me pretty darn nervous for that. You mentioned run blocking. That was another area of concern for me. They weren't able to really get things going. I don't think that was like their primary intent though. So I don't put a lot of concern in that. It's just something that I noted. I'm not going to panic certainly over that because really they wanted to see what they had from the quarterbacks. But it was a problem last year. Does that kind of bleed into this year? Totally different offensive line coach, totally different offensive line. So it shouldn't, but I noted that is a point of concern. David, turning it over to you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, and especially at cornerback, just seeing that the injuries that happen and the talent is a little bit of a lack there. And for me, still looking at edge too. I wish there was one more guy in that room. I'm actually feeling okay about tackle. When Malik Collins is back and healthy, you've got him and Mason Graham, Mike Hall Jr., Aiden Huntington's been having a great camp. So I mean, you've got pretty good depth there between the four of them. But then when you look at the edges, you got three guys who can rotate through. Really, two rotate, and Jared's going to play almost every down. But then after that, looking a little thin. And then as well, like the injury thing with Alex Wright missing earlier, and now Isaiah McGuire out again. These aren't true injury designations, but they can turn into that, and it's just you see kind of this kind of carousel of injuries that continue to happen, and it exposes the defense very quickly. And who would have thought of it going into this year that we're talking so much about defensive depth when for the past 3-5 seasons the defense has been the anchor of this team. But now I feel a little bit more comfortable on offense. But again, we're only one week
Crazy.
in, but it is quite a change of, I guess, mindset right now.
Sure, that's a good point. All right, Dustin, what you got?
Yeah, I was just going to point this out. And David, and to your point along the defensive line, we all saw that the Browns signed defensive end Jamil Muhammad. Formerly, I think he was on the Rams. And so I wondered, obviously we did not get Zadarius Smith. There was some smoke behind that possibly he was going to be, but then he went and played with now Stefanski's 1-year deal. I wonder if they brought somebody like him in just because of his familiarity with playing with Jared Verse. I thought that was kind of like maybe there was a reason for that. So maybe we might have been able to find a guy here that can give us some depth. I thought that was interesting. So maybe another guy. I know we know this roster gets crazy the last 2 weeks because you got to get down to 53. But I think corner does concern me, that back end, which when I was reading this as well, they had to waive a corner to sign Jamil. So it's like, the chicken and the egg. You're getting rid of a corner when you need corners. It's such a fluid.
I mean, there's going to be roster moves daily kind of at this point leading up to this. So not a huge surprise.
Yeah. So, and just for me, the only concern is, I would say, just the offensive line depth always makes me nervous, I guess, at the end of the day. I know they went out and put a new group of guys together, but, I don't know how well the rookies will play behind these free agents that we signed, so that always gives me concern. So that's just a little bit of concern. And we know that it's going to take time for that offensive line to develop. It's going to be a work in progress, and probably we won't see a full unit confidently singing from the same hymnal until probably, a month or more into the season. So,
yeah. All right. So turning it over to some positives, some positive takeaways. You can throw in if you've got any particular players that you want to highlight here, or of course, position groups. But I kind of I do want to highlight the offensive talent kind of as a whole. Casey Concepcion, he's a guy. He's a guy. You're going to be able to use him in a multitude of ways. Really excited about him. He's quick. He's fast. He can kind of do it all. But what I liked about the offense, it looked different, right? There was a lot of motion, quick game, screens, loved the screen. Became a very explosive play with Dylan Sampson. Manufactured touches, getting the ball into the hands of the playmakers. Todd Monken knows how to get the ball in the hands of Casey Concepcion, just like he did Zay Flowers in Baltimore. He's going to play a similar role. You're going to see him in a lot of motion, I'm really excited about that. So play action, just getting these athletes into space. And I also think I do want to highlight the offensive line. You mentioned this at the start, Dustin. Protection wasn't bad. It really wasn't. Both Deshaun and Shador had time to throw. They had time to make the plays. I think that it's still going to be a work in progress, and these guys have to come together and gel together. And it's not going to be perfect, but overall, for a brand new kind of revamped offensive line, I was like, I can get on board with this. If they can do that, if they can pass pro, we're going to be okay. We're going to be able to run the ball. And that's exactly what Todd Monken was getting at. So, Dustin, I'll turn it over to you for your positive takeaways.
Yeah. So, it's interesting. We're talking about the offensive line. My concern is the depth, but I will tell you, Spencer Fano is that dude. If you looked at his footwork in that football game and how he was holding his own, it was some beautiful stuff to go out there and watch how he was keeping people in check at left tackle. Because when you slow it down and you look at it, he was, and you know what? It probably doesn't hurt you're going up against Jared Verse in camp and being violent and playing. And to Jared Verse's point, he goes, he's been getting better and better every day. And like, he's pushing me around now. So that is one positive I took away, because the blind side is the most important thing, no matter what quarterback is behind center, to keep him upright and not running for his life this season. That's going to be very important. So, and then this wide receiver room is exciting. Bond, Boston, Concepcion, those guys, those are going to be dudes this year. And there's going to be a few odd men out. And, I'm excited for what this wide receiver core can bring with speed. And to your point, creating mismatches against defenses in the National Football League. This is going to be fun to watch. It's not going to be boring football anymore. That's it.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed. All right, David, your positive takeaways from the game.
So, to me, this season is no longer about the quarterback. This is about the pieces around them and what Todd can make them do. I think to all your points about just the offensive strategy, the game plan, seeing what he's scheming up and manufacturing, he's going to find ways to get the ball into his players' hands and kind of reduce or eliminate the quarterback factor. I think if he can get it to Isaiah Bond out in the flat and get it to turn up ground, if he can get to KC in the backfield, he can make him spin and then throw a deep ball to Denzel. I think he's going to find ways to get the playmakers the ball, regardless of who the quarterback is. And I think, it's not going to be the best or most efficient offense that we've ever seen, but I think he knows how to manufacture it so that it actually has success and they can win some games and make this a little bit fun so that, next season, like you talked about earlier, you just drop in a quarterback and boom, we are ready to roll. So I think there's a lot of optimism right now. It's only been 1 week, but I'm feeling good about that. And I just think you can really see what he's trying to do and what his vision is. And I'm excited to see it come to life more throughout the rest of the preseason.
Yeah, awesome. Real quick, before we kind of quickly look ahead, just for everybody that's still watching, I know last week we did talk about a fantasy league, so I am happy to tell you that is going to be happening. I don't have all the details for you just yet, so please stay tuned. We'll be announcing that very soon, but just want to kind of confirm with everybody that is going to be happening. We're doing an official Here We Go Brownies podcast fantasy football league. So we're going to keep it, it'll be fairly small. So there will be a process for you all to get in touch with us to let us know let us know that you're interested. So we will send out a link. It's kind of a form to collect all of your contact information. If you're considering doing it, you can always back out. You don't have to do it. No pressure. But also another thing to consider, if we do have a lot of interest, we could also do a pick'em league for those that maybe didn't make the cut. So we'll have details on that soon, how to become eligible, how to do it. Just keep an eye on the socials. It'll be there. I know several of you have already expressed interest, so please know that is coming. We will put that on our socials.
Yeah, and if anybody is in here, I know Jason's in, obviously, but if there's anybody in here that wants to be a part of it, we can go back and look at the comments and kind of figure that out. So
we'll have, that's what my point is. We will have a specific process for doing that.
Right.
Because I don't want to lose anybody in conversation or fall through the cracks. So we will have a specific process. So we don't say, oh, we missed their comment 3 weeks ago. So
right.
Yeah. So we will have that details for you very soon. Keep an eye on the socials. All right. As we wrap up here, we've got like a minute to go. So we're going to go rapid fire. If we go a few minutes over, it's fine. But what we're looking forward to in the next preseason game, David, let's start with you.
More of this offensive development. I want to see kind of maybe the next level of what his scheme looks like. And we know he's not going to reveal or play all his cards, in the preseason, but they got to see what they got. They got to put it into action. And so seeing what Shedeur is able to accomplish with that, and just I want to see more of these young guys step up. I want to see KC have some more explosive plays. I want to see Isaiah Bond still make a difference here, and see if guys like Cedric Tillman are going to try and put their foot down and say, "Hey, I've been here. Let me show you what I can do too." So just what the weapons can do this week, I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. For me, really looking forward to seeing Shedeur. Can he process faster? Really important. Can he be faster? Can the run blocking be a little bit cleaner? Can we run the ball just a little bit more effectively than we were able to? Can we fix the mistakes that we saw, or the kind of course correct on the things that really were exposed in Chicago? And really excited for these young guys. I love seeing these young receivers get the ball in their hands. What can they do? So, Dustin, you're up.
Yeah, for me, similar to your comment with Shedeur, I want him to get rid of that ball a lot quicker in process and get in and out of the actual huddle and see a couple of sustained drives that lead to points. I mean, that would be great. Second, something I've noticed about Shedeur, sometimes players don't practice as well as they do in a game. And I feel like under the lights, Shedeur plays just better under the lights most of the time compared to practice. So it'll be interesting under the lights and in front of the crowd what he looks like. And there's a lot of pressure on him right now to go out there and play a very clean game and give Todd Monken something to really think about over the weekend into Monday or Tuesday before that Thursday night, very quickly, New England Patriots game coming up on Thursday, right? The very next week.
So not to totally change the subject here, but David just texted me and said, Cavs trade alert. So David, first off, did you see that lightning? Oh my God.
Whoa,
Did you hear that?
This is crazy.
All right, so we got to wrap this up. But David, what's the Cavs trade?
I felt like your whole house shook from this.
Oh boy, it is time to wrap this up.
All right, so we got a 3-team trade between the Cavs, Nuggets, and Los Angeles Clippers here. Cavs have agreed to send Max Strus to the Clippers, and Peyton Watson is coming to the Cavs on a 4-year, $88 million deal, and the Nuggets get 2 picks.
All right.
So
I can't.
Cavs get Peyton Watson, Clippers get Max Strus, Nuggets get 2 picks.
All right, so just to kind of paint the picture here for you, Peyton Watson, he's a small forward, the same position. He was a first-round pick to the Nuggets, was averaging 14 points a game, almost 5 rebounds, 2 assists. So just to put that into perspective, Max Strus, let's look at his stats, if I can type. 11 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. So a little bit more production. We'll see. That's my immediate reaction. Is I don't know.
I wonder what the 2 picks are. That's interesting. Those go to Denver, you said, right, David?
Yeah. Yes. Oh, and the Cavs also acquired. Wait, is that right? Nope, that's from 4 years ago. Just kidding.
Oh.
That's it. That's the only one.
Crazy. That's crazy. All right. Oh, and joke's on me. Sorry, guys. We can't wrap up yet. One more thing to mention. If you need your official Here We Go Brownies podcast hats, t-shirts, sweatshirts, go to Weebly Ohio Apparel. They can do it for you. They have great basketball, football, baseball designs that they can make for you there in store. So, all right, we got to wrap up because Storm is coming. Any closing thoughts, guys, as we wrap up?
Just a big thank you for Joel for joining the podcast tonight and doing all his great things. By the way, you can tell he is a student of the game, just like Joe Thomas. And, of course, everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, go Browns.
I mean, that's a little premature. That's my line.
You said you want to get off, so I was just trying to get.
No, I said we got to wrap up. Any closing thoughts? I say this every week. Any closing
Here's my closing thought. I'm just going to manifest what Allie's going to say.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate you. Stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, Browns fans, go Browns.